Most people assume being a people pleaser is the secret to a happy life. Agreeing with everyone feels like the best way to build bonds. However, psychology suggests that constant approval seeking actually makes relationships fragile. 1. They prioritize reliability over social harmony. They value external reality more than the immediate comfort of others. These individuals would rather be corrected than comforted by a lie. Cognitive psychology refers to this pattern as a drive for self-verification. It means they need their social interactions to reflect the objective truth. Imagine a friend asks for your honest feedback on a new project. Most people offer empty praise just to avoid an awkward moment. A person who doesn't chase approval will give you the hard facts. They value your long-term growth more than your temporary feelings. This direct approach often creates a brief moment of social friction. You might notice an awkward silence or a sudden flash of defensiveness. Yet this radical honesty builds a level of trust that others rarely reach. You know their words are never just a scripted social performance. You never have to wonder if they are secretly judging you. Think about the mental energy you spend trying to read the room. Now, imagine the relief of simply saying exactly what you see. For these individuals, being honest isn't a struggle or a difficult choice. False agreement is actually quite dangerous for a real connection. By choosing accuracy over niceness, they provide a solid foundation for others. This grounded nature is the first step toward true social independence. It creates a space where real growth can finally begin. That is the hidden power of people who stop chasing approval. Most people wait for a social thumbs up before they allow themselves to feel proud. 2. People who don't chase approval rely almost entirely on internal success markers. They prioritize personal growth over the shifting status symbols of their peers. Cognitive psychology defines this as having an internal locus of control. This mindset creates a powerful foundation for a stable and consistent life. It means they see themselves as the primary authors of their own results. They don't look at a social leaderboard to see if they are winning. Instead, they measure today's progress against who they were yesterday. They do not need a public audience to validate a quiet, private victory. Consider the act of finishing a challenging book over several weeks. For many, there's a strong urge to post that book online immediately. We want external proof that we have achieved something impressive. It is a self-reliant person finds the reward in the knowledge itself. The private effort is their main source of satisfaction. Completing the task is enough without needing a single digital like. Their joy comes from the actual process rather than the applause. This mental habit builds a thick layer of emotional stability. It acts as a shield against the heavy weight of public opinion. Their worth is anchored deep inside where trends cannot reach it. Their self-esteem remains intact even when no one is watching. They avoid the approval crash that hits when attention fades away. Think about how much of your daily joy depends on a reaction. Does a win feel smaller if it goes unobserved by the world? We often perform for an audience that isn't really paying attention. Choosing internal markers means stepping off that exhausting stage for good. These people define success by their own personal mission. This mindset makes them resilient during periods of social isolation. A quiet social calendar never lowers their inherent value. They remain grounded because they are their own most honest judge. This self-reliance helps them face truths that others find uncomfortable. It prepares them to hold their principles during social friction. This internal compass keeps them moving forward when others would give up. The constant need for social harmony often comes at a very high price. It can lead to the slow erosion of your true identity over time. 3. People who don't chase approval possess a high tolerance for social friction. Psychology uses sociometer theory to explain how we track our social belonging. This theory suggests our self-esteem acts like an internal monitor for the brain. It constantly scans your environment for any signs of exclusion or conflict. For most people, any social friction triggers a biological alarm in the mind. This alarm sends a signal that your status is currently dropping. It creates a desperate urge to act and repair the perceived damage. However, self-reliant individuals process these social signals with much less intensity. They perceive a difference of opinion as a completely neutral event. To them, disagreement is not a direct threat to their safety. Since they don't rely on the group for worth, the alarm stays silent. Imagine a situation where a close colleague asks for your honest feedback. Most people would sugarcoat the truth to avoid making things uncomfortable. They fear the small moment of tension that comes with being direct. Someone who doesn't chase approval will deliver the hard truth kindly. They offer their perspective without any hesitation or need to apologize. They know that a little friction now prevents a collapse of trust later. This trait ensures that your values remain consistent in every situation. Your internal compass doesn't change just because the room gets colder. These individuals are often the ones who prevent dangerous groupthink. They are willing to stand alone and ask the difficult questions. Their lives are defined by an integrity that doesn't buckle under pressure. Think about the times you remained silent just to keep the peace. You might find that avoiding friction created a much larger internal burden. Learning to sit with the discomfort of being different is a superpower. It is the first real step toward achieving true personal independence. Being respected is far more valuable than being constantly liked by everyone. Choosing truth over harmony allows you to live with a clear conscience. This social resilience is often paired with a very specific way of processing external noise. This level of internal independence doesn't just shift your outward behavior, it fundamentally transforms the way you process your surroundings in real time. It changes how you view every room you walk into and every person you meet. 4. You practice low social monitoring. Psychology defines self-monitoring as the act of observing and controlling your own social image. It is a mental feedback loop that checks how others are perceiving you. High self-monitors act like social chameleons who are perpetually scanning the environment. They look for any subtle cues that tell them how to act or speak. They look at how people react to their every word to see if they fit in. These individuals shift their tone, their posture, and even their values to blend in. However, people who don't chase approval operate with a much lower degree of this labor. Instead of looking outward for permission, they keep their mental focus on the interaction. Imagine you are walking into a crowded party or an intimidating networking event. Most people immediately start scanning every face to see if they are being judged. You might worry about where to put your hands or if your outfit looks right. You might even question if your stories are boring or if you're talking too much. But a person with low social monitoring doesn't experience that internal, frantic sense of checking. They simply enter the room and engage because they aren't trying to manage a persona. They allow themselves to be seen as they are, without the weight of constant adjustment. This doesn't mean they are rude or socially oblivious to the needs of others. It just means they find it unnecessary to maintain a curated, perfect version of themselves. Cognitive psychology suggests this lack of performance saves a massive amount of mental processing power. When you stop trying to read every mind, you free up energy for more meaningful tasks. You become far less prone to social burnout because you aren't performing for an audience. Think about the last time you felt completely drained after a very simple social gathering. Ask yourself if that fatigue came from the conversation itself, or did it come from the exhausting process of constant self-editing? Was it the people who tired you out, or was it the heavy mask you wore? Living without this constant internal filter makes your social life feel like a deep relief. This mental freedom creates a unique type of resilience that many people mistake for coldness. In reality, it is the simple sound of a mind that is no longer at war with itself. This lack of performative labor allows you to be truly present with the people around you. It leads directly to how these individuals handle the direct and often harsh opinions of others. They process criticism differently because their worth is no longer tied to the room's applause. Many people believe that ignoring praise makes you appear cold or ungrateful. 5. Detached appreciation of praise. Psychology shows these individuals rely on internal motivation instead of external dopamine hits. This means they find the primary reward in the work itself, not the applause. They view a compliment as a pleasant bonus, like a nice sunset on a commute. It is nice to witness, but it does not change their internal destination. Imagine someone receiving a major award and feeling the same as they did before. They say thank you and immediately return to the craft they love. By detaching from praise, they also become immune to manipulative criticism. If the world cannot build you up, it cannot tear you down. They are no longer vulnerable to people who use approval to control them. You might notice how often you wait for a good job to feel finished. When that praise doesn't come, your motivation likely starts to fade away. Breaking this cycle gives you a consistent and unshakable energy source. You stop performing for an audience and start living for yourself. This creates a level of peace that social approval simply cannot provide. True freedom is being the only person who can define your value. When you stop chasing others, you finally have the room to grow. Ultimately, the truth is that your life belongs to you, not the crowd.